And welcome in to the Wheelhouse here, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle on this Sunday evening. Is that what this time frame is called, I guess?
Yes, so yeah, I like it.
All right, well, it is between afternoon and evening, I guess, right here on Sunday. Once again, thank you for adjusting to our time as well. A lot to get into today, Mark. How are you?
Good, man. I've been fat and lazy all day watching sports, watching the ladies March Madness. Can't complain. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Yeah, that's all I have been doing as well. A lot to get into. A lot to get into today. Like you mentioned, the ladies tournament is over. Up next for the women's side of sports will be the WNBA draft coming up in next week, next Monday. So we may have a live draft show for the WNBA draft. Everyone expecting Paige Buckets to be the number one draft pick. We will find out next Monday night, but that is on pause for just a little bit. And if you're new to the program, we'll do our normal fire and ice here in just a second. Don't forget to subscribe, like, do whatever to all of our social media pages, Facebook, X, Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, don't forget to go to our home base, e5280sports.com, where all of that stuff is posted as well as blogs and things of that nature. Don't forget to catch Between the Lines and Pro Wrestling Daily right there on the front page. So it is now time for Fire and Ice.
It's now time for Fire.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
He's on fire.
I'm the only one a burning desire. Let me stand next to your fire.
And Ice.
Ice Cube, baby.
You're as cold as ice. Ice, ice, baby.
All right, if you're new to the program, Fire and Ice, just who's hot, who's not over the last week or so in the world of sports. And Mark, where do you want to kick things off this evening?
Got to start with fire. Too many great things happening. I'm too excited to talk about them.
All right, yeah, let's not keep it on the back burner for much longer. Kicking off with the Gr8 Chase is over. Alexander Ovechkin has caught up and passed Wayne Gretzky in consecutive nights, by the way. He tied him yesterday, and he broke, or was it Friday? Maybe it wasn't consecutive.
Friday. It was Friday.
Yeah, so it's Friday. He broke the record today. Islanders did beat Washington today 4-1, but the one goal was scored by Ovechkin, which once again put him number one all-time, Mark, in goals scored in the National Hockey League. I mean, it is just incredible to see this record get broken, his 895th goal of his career. And it's funny, he tied him in one less game than Wayne Gretzky had, but he broke the record in the same amount of games that Wayne Gretzky scored his amount of goals. And still a couple games left for Washington, so he could pad it just a little bit, as Washington is well on their way to the playoffs as well. But what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was first of all, congrats, Ovi. I don't think there was one person not rooting against him. I think it was done in fabulous fashion with diving onto the ice and doing the belly slide. I watched Friday night, and I really thought he was going to do it Friday night. They got that empty netter, and it came out. Ovi was like, "No, I'm not going out. I want to do it with an empty netter." And it was funny because then they asked Gretzky about it, and Gretzky was like, "I would have done it with an open netter, with an empty netter, not a problem." So good on Ovi for that. And then getting to see it today, I think it's fun. Great for the sport, great for Ovi, and I loved watching Gretzky's reaction. I think he was truly happy for Ovi. So fun all around.
I was just about to ask you about the great one's reaction, because if you're Wayne Gretzky, you're kind of like, damn it, he broke it. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, it's whatever. It's been, a 20-year just about record that's finally been broken. a lot of people thought that record would never be broken. But here we are with Ovechkin, in April of 2025 breaking the record. But I don't know if it's just Wayne Gretzky's mannerisms, because some of them seem happy, but then other parts he's like, yeah, I'm proud of him. Maybe to me, he was almost like saying the right things at the time, but I think deep down he's like, God, damn it. Are they going to rename me now because I've been the great one for so long, but now my record's broken? I guess they can share great in their new nicknames. I guess the Great One and the Gr8 is, I think, what Ovi's going to carry on now. But
I like that.
But that was my reaction to Wayne Gretzky's reaction. Just it almost seems like you could tell deep down he was kind of pissed off.
I don't think for me, the way I took it, I think it was it was bittersweet, right? I think, a little bit of the legacy went, but he's no matter what going to be the great one. I'm sorry. It's not even close. I mean, he's had how many seasons where he scored over 200 goals. I mean, he was really an assist guy. Nobody's ever going to touch that record. They're straight video game stats for Gretzky. So I think, for me, I think it was, saying goodbye to the legacy a little bit was probably the bitter part. And the sweet part was still being a part of history. I mean, he got surpassed in goals, but he was still a part of it, being his name attached to the record. So I think it was kind of saying goodbye to another chapter in life for him is kind of how I perceived it, how it looked, to me. And I agree with you, though. Being filled with so many emotions, I think he was just saying the right things. Everything's so new and so fresh. I'm not sure anybody would really know what to say on the spot.
Yeah, and good for him for being there too. I don't think he was in New York for him breaking it, but at least he was at the Washington home game on Friday night when he tied the record. So good on Wayne Gretzky for showing up and being there. That was the cool part. But again, you like seconds after the record's broken, you get a microphone shoved in your face, and again, like you just said, you're not sure how to. It's almost like, like maybe South Carolina, who just lost. They're going to stick microphones in all these student athletes' faces, and you're just like, what am I supposed to say? Especially the seniors, it's a, like you mentioned, a bittersweet moment for a lot of people when you lose or when your record gets broken. Literally seconds after, you get somebody asking you about it. So, yeah, good on Wayne Gretzky for being there, and I guess good for saying the right things. I'm sure he's, like you said, in mixed feelings about it, but like you said, maybe he can move on now that it's finally over. So there you go. Next on the fire list, our men's championship game is ready to go. That'll be tomorrow night. It is the perhaps surprising Houston Cougars against the Florida Gators. Florida back and forth all game with Auburn the other day. We'll get into Auburn's situation here in just a second, but Houston with a furious comeback against Duke yesterday to get the. I mean, listen, they're all number one seeds. Nothing was really an upset. Nothing was really surprising, except maybe the way that Houston did it. And we'll talk about Houston's win when we talk about Duke here in just a minute. But your first overall thoughts on this matchup?
I loved it. It was hard-nosed basketball. It was very much down to who was scoring inside the paint, who was hitting in beyond the arc. It was kind of, I mean, unless you were rooting for Duke, it was kind of everything you wanted in a semifinal matchup. You know what I mean? The Final Four matchup. Just shocked, really.
Yeah, and I actually picked Florida in one of my brackets, so I'm still kind of alive there, and still holding on to whatever hope that I can with the bracket, because I have Florida over Duke in one of the brackets, so we will see what happens there. But yeah, definitely a surprising turn of events. I think a lot of people either had Duke versus Auburn or Duke for at least Florida. I don't know if anybody really predicted Houston to be in the mix, but I really haven't followed Houston's program at all, really. But, watching the game yesterday, Mark, and them saying, this is basically 12 years in the making. And they wouldn't be surprised if Houston took it all. I know they got that 6-year senior on their team, which is crazy.
COVID
But
years.
yeah, I mean, the golden years. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody really saw, like I said, number 1 seed. You're really not expecting anything else at this point in the season. But yeah, definitely a surprising matchup, but really not a the way Houston got there was a shock, but really not surprising that they're in this situation either.
Agreed. And I'll be honest too. I haven't paid too much attention to their program from jump. Watching them as of late these last few games. I agree with you. It's definitely not an upset as much as a shocker on how it ended. But just kind of throwing it out there, everything on Houston's side was done by their starters. They only had 6 points on the bench, and they only had 9 rebounds total on the bench. I mean, there was guys. Roberts had 12. He had 12 boards in the game, with the most boards on the team last night, and then Tuckler with 8 boards. So everything was done by the starters, and with a game like when you're playing against Duke, you think it's like, man, everybody's going to have to come in and do this. It's going to have to be a lot of points off the bench. It's going to be a lot of star power doing star things. And really it just came down to the guys that, have been doing it, just stuck to what they were doing. And I think that was kind of the funnest part of it all, watching Houston. Although disappointed I picked Duke to win it all, so that just completely tore my bracket to shreds with a last-minute heartbreaker. So,
yeah, that's always the bittersweet part there. And then, yeah, Roberts is the 16-year senior we were just talking about. He also had a crucial play on defense on Cooper Flagg. A lot of people said, maybe a foul should have been called. There was a free throws being shot, and Cooper Flagg was being blocked out or something, and they said he went over the back. A lot of people surprised at some of these calls. You saw kind of the stunned face on Cooper Flagg. We'll get to Duke here in a second, but you kind of saw the stunned face on Cooper Flagg's face, like, oh, dang, it sucks we lost, but I'm about to be a cajillionaire in the NBA here in a couple months. So yeah, that's our matchup for tomorrow, as the men's championship game will once again go down tomorrow. Once again, the Florida Gators and the Houston Cougars. All right, wrapping up our fire list, Mark, and this one just ended about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, and that is the UConn Lady Huskies winning their 12th national championship. And
congrats, Paige Buckets.
Yeah, I mean, Paige Buckets was just phenomenal. Gino Auriemma definitely on the Mount Rushmore of college coaches, men or women's at this point. It doesn't matter. The most wins in Division I history, by the way, in men or women. So shout out to Gino. And yeah, like we said, I don't know if I didn't really predict this from South Carolina, Mark, to only have 48 points, like with the game almost over. Right. It was really strange to see UConn by that. They finished with 59 points, a couple garbage threes here and there towards the end. But I mean, to only score 59 points if you're South Carolina, that was definitely disappointing for Dawn Staley and her group. And UConn, only one of 4 teams now, Mark, to beat all 3 number 1 seeds on their way to a national championship. They beat USC, UCLA, and now South Carolina. But as soon as they beat USC with, again, maybe if Juju was in there, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But, to bulldoze, once they got past USC, you kind of knew that Paige Buckets was on a mission. I did not see them destroying UCLA either, and I definitely did not see them destroying South Carolina. So they were on a mission. I don't know if it was the Paige Buckets experience or what. Kind of strange, but also kind of, I don't know what the word is. Azzy Fudd won the Final Four and championship MVP. She had an awesome game today. Sarah Strong, the best freshman in the nation, with another 22 points. She broke all freshman records with points in an NCAA tournament. So UConn is in good hands moving forward. But your overall reaction, your overall thoughts on the outcome of this game?
Honestly, shocked. I mean, the same. I agree with you on when UConn, destroyed UCLA. I was shocked on that. When you and I were texting before the game, I was like, yeah, I'm leaning towards UConn. If you would have told me before the game I'm taking UConn by almost 30, I'd have been like, oh, you're full of it. There's no way. But then coming out and them, just absolutely being relentless, holding them. They held SC to 26 points at half. I mean, they were absolutely doing work. The offensive rebounds were crazy. Defensive steals, phenomenal. Obviously, like I said, Sarah Strong doing her thing. Paige buckets, obviously doing her thing. And AZ Fudd, yeah, AZ Fudd, she had a phenomenal game. I definitely think she deserved the best player of the game. She came out swinging and did not stop, and held everything, locked everything down. 24 points for her. I thought it was going to be kind of a little bit of a hairy moment when Alfie went, fouled out. They were able to step it up and do their thing. But I did not expect a blowout victory by any means. And South Carolina has one of those teams where like we were talking about in the past, you expect them to win every time they step out on the floor. So tip your cap to UConn doing their thing and just playing their game all day long.
Yeah, and the SEC Sixth Woman of the Year, Malady Wiley, she got pulled really quick. She got stripped twice, literally, and almost seemed like back-to-back possessions. And then Dawn Staley pulled her and kind of got on her on the bench. And then I was watching her as soon as she checked back into the game, wasn't really moving around. She really didn't, I guess, quote unquote, catch fire until the fourth quarter. But of course, by then it was too little, too late. And yeah, they shut down Chloe Kitts in the middle. They shut down their outside. The word I texted you, Mark, was just relentless. UConn was just relentless in all facets of this game. Like you said, defensive. It almost. I know they scored a whole bunch of points. They scored 82 points, but it almost seemed like their defense won them this game, because to only give up 59 to, the reigning national champion in South Carolina, I almost think their defense won this game more than. Obviously, you have two players over 20 points. Paige had 19, but 17 or 19 Paige had. But the UConn's big three did their thing, and you cannot say the same thing for. I don't even know if South Carolina has necessarily a big three. I know a lot of their players will be back next year as well, and with Dawn Staley at the helm of that program, they are still in good hands moving forward. Same as UConn. But it almost seemed like the Huskies' defense is what won in this game, really.
No, I absolutely agree. The most points on the team for South Carolina was 10 points, and that was shared by Edwards and Johnson. Full Wiley only had 9 points. Chloe Kitts, 9 points. She only had 6 boards. I completely agree with you. I think that game was won defensively, and just South Carolina couldn't get it going. They a lot of misses on top of ball possession being questionable, decisions being questionable, just a lot of misses, which was kind of unfamiliar territory as well. And I think that had to do with, like you said, just UConn being relentless defensively.
Yeah, it almost seemed like South Carolina wasn't expecting anything that UConn was putting out there. It almost seemed like South Carolina. I wouldn't say like they didn't overlook UConn. You can never overlook somebody in a national championship game, but it almost seemed like South Carolina could go out there and do what they normally do and be okay. And UConn was totally prepared for everything. Everything that South Carolina did, UConn had an answer for. Everything that UConn did, South Carolina looked confused on ways, and really for a Dawn Staley coach team to really have no adjustments made was kind of shocking as well.
Completely agreed. And UConn, I agree with you. UConn just not only sticking to their game plan, but executing it. Where, like you said, the Gamecocks, they came out like they didn't really have a game plan. If they did, they obviously didn't touch it, didn't even come close. But I mean, it's just like UConn shutting down everybody, which was the shocking part. Pow only had 3 points, and I think that was the one three she made in the first quarter.
That was literally the first shot of the game.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, being able to go in there and put everybody on lockdown, I think was that was the shocking part. Once again, like you said, that's a defensive victory, and I agree with you.
Yeah. So UConn just did a marvelous job, just kind of shutting down everybody. To only allow 20 points by two people is like you said, pretty much just lockdown defense, not getting anybody a rhythm, just shutting down passing lanes. I mean, South Carolina, I think they had one backdoor pass. It was Chloe Kitts. I forgot to who. But after that, UConn just shut down every backdoor drive. There was no passing lanes, no driving lanes, no cutting lanes. UConn was just everywhere. And it's crazy because UConn going up against UCLA, I was like, I mean, UCLA has the size. I mean, Lauren Betts by herself is 6'7", and UConn at times, Mark, play four guards at the same time, with Sarah Strong being, I think she's 6'4"-ish, I want to say, and that's really their biggest player that plays the entire game. So I thought, I mean, South Carolina is really not too much bigger. I'm not sure on Chloe Kitts' height, but she's really their tallest player as well. So you got two teams really with no, I guess, quote unquote, giants in the middle, like a UCLA has, or some like Texas had with Taylor Jones in the middle. But I don't know what it is about UConn. I guess they're tenacious D, not the Jack Black band, but their speed, just everything they did shocked South Carolina, it seemed like. And you could see the reactions of Dawn Staley on the bench. She sat down. I mean, she wasn't really quarter. Yeah, I mean, she sat down and almost like she gave up coaching.
I agree. It was the second quarter when she sat down, she did one of those. And when I saw that, I was like, I completely agree with you. I was like, wow, the writing is on the wall. And to kind of add to it, defensive rebounds, UConn had 26. Gamecocks had 19. I mean, you talk about steals, they had 8 to their 6. UConn over Gamecocks, blocks, 5 to their 4. Now, points off of turnovers, and this is what's huge in any game. 14 points off of those turnovers, and they had 36 points on the paint. I mean, that's defensive ball at its best, and I'm just shocked. I'm still shocked over it at such decisive victory.
Yeah, and to have 36 in the paint points with, again, not really any size, is pretty spectacular. That means guards are driving in. That means everybody's driving in on you.
And that's where those boards come into play, man. I mean, those are huge. And
usually South Carolina is a pretty darn good rebounding team. Again, they don't have much size either. But Raven Johnson, I think, led the nation somehow in I think she's 5'9". Led the SEC in offensive rebounds, which is crazy. But Sarah Strong at halftime had 11 rebounds. So that should just tell you everything you need to know about the rebounding struggles. And like you mentioned, Chloe Kitts only had 6, and she's probably the tallest player out there. She was getting caught on screens and picks and stuff like that. So you could just see her out on an island trying to defend 2 people at once after a screen and roll. It's just when that's happening, I get stuck in that position in rec league basketball, Mark, and I'm frustrated by it. So you could kind of sense everyone's frustration on the South Carolina side.
Absolutely. And Chloe Kitts being one of the main pieces down low, and they were able to, like you said, isolate her. And that game plan UConn had, I mean, was perfection.
Yeah, and again, shout out to Gino Ariema, the coach for UConn, for having these ladies prepared. Once again, huge shout out to Paige Beckers for her last collegiate game, finally getting it done after a battle for so many years during a ACL tear and stuff like that, losing in the Final Four last year, and to go out on top on your last game. Again, UConn's gonna be in good hands, like we mentioned, but yeah, I mean, projected number one pick in the WNBA draft. We'll find out next Monday night. But your thoughts on just Paige Becker's game? She's not going to go out and be the leading scorer every night. Maybe like a Caitlin Clark, you kind of suspect for an Iowa team the last couple of years. But Paige just does it in so many other ways, facilitating, setting screens, stuff like that, rebounding as a guard. What was your overall thoughts on not only her run through this tournament, but her overall career?
I mean, it went from, being in shambles and tragedy to, rags to riches story, if you will. And can't be happy for her enough. What was it? One Final Four, or lost in the championship, lost in the Final Four, then the ACL, then lost to CC, and then, you know what I mean? It's all these things where it's like, finally, this player's been able to do it. And then today coming out, I mean, she did work. She had a few assists, 17 points. She was able to play two-way ball defensively. She was doing her part. And like you said, she's not going to be your CC where she's going to be able to lead the team in points every night, but she finds a way to. This is where the team needs help, and she puts herself there, and she's able to excel in those areas. And I think it'll be well deserving Monday night when she does go in the first round. I overall happy with her performance and happy for her.
Yeah, might be the next W jersey I acquire before the season starts. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, like you said, just so much she had to go through to get herself back on the court and in this position. And I don't know if you saw what Dawn Staley said yesterday in a press conference. What is winning or losing what kind of legacy is it going to leave for Paige Beckers? Dawn Staley, paraphrasing here, but basically said, she's going to be a legend in this game with or without a championship. She's going to be the number one pick. But then Dawn Staley also said, don't forget about our players as well. We're coming off a championship, and our players are going to leave a legacy, where we're from as well. So kind of a class act for Dawn Staley to say that. I'm sure she's going to have a lot of good things to say about UConn in the press conference that's maybe taking place as we speak, Mark. But I always go back and watch watch these press conferences just to see what the players, especially the losing side. It's always interested to see especially like the seniors. I was watching Texas with Shea Holley, Taylor Jones. Vic Schaefer, the coach for Texas, seems like a really good dude. A guy you'd probably want to run through a wall for. Same with Gino. Same with probably Dawn Staley. All these coaches who have built themselves a good program, good careers. It just seems like you want to run through a wall for all of these coaches.
Yeah, and I mean, especially Gino when at the when they were being presented the trophy, and he said, I was walking around the hotel and. I said, dear God, I guess I don't really need this, but damn it, my players need it. And having that much love for your organization and the players in that organization, like you said, that's something special. And obviously 13 titles now. So, I mean, yeah, like it's great. And then as far as listening to the losing side, I always like to wait because it's so hard. We kind of touched on it with the Ovi thing where you get a camera and a microphone shoved in your face. Well, how does it feel? Well, obviously I'm pissed. Just lost. Like, I don't want to talk right now. So I like it when they give them time and they, talk to them later on in the day or even the next couple of days after. I like to hear what they have to say, where they themselves have a chance to reflect on what's going on and what had taken place. I think those are, in my opinion, the more interesting interviews.
Yeah, I like what Gino said there as well. That was that was pretty funny. And someone, especially when it's always cool to see when like coaches or whatever take a foul, call a timeout to get the seniors off the court and have the crowd appreciate them one last time. That's always. And then when Paige ran up to Gino, someone was cutting onions in here when that happened. But yeah, it's always cool to see those moments.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a little lump in my throat as well. I mean, watching her come off and that moment that they shared. I even got a kick out of what Paige said afterwards.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Yeah, he said I love you, and I said I hate you."
yeah, yeah. Always going to be funny. So, and a lot. I mean, I mean, just great alumni that UConn has had over the past several. I mean, same with South Carolina as well. You talk about Asia Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, Alicia Gray, but UConn just, I mean, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart. I mean, there Maya Moore, I mean, Rebecca Lobo, who's the color commentator. I mean, she was on that team on the first. She was on that team in 1995, getting Gino his first national championship. So, I mean, so many great alumni in attendance as well. So that's got to be kind of cool for. And like Gino said too, he goes, I know, I wish everyone who's played here can get another trophy or another ring or whatever. So it's always cool to see.
Built a legacy for sure. That's a dynasty.
All right, we got a bonus fire here. The Naismith National Basketball Hall of Fame class was announced, and well, we know him well here in Denver. Moved on to New York, played with the Lakers, Portland, but Carmelo Anthony is now a Naismith Hall of Famer. This was posted in a lot of Nuggets groups and stuff like that. Mark, a lot of people saying he shouldn't have been first ballot. And I'm like, dude, this is not baseball. This is the basketball Naismith Hall of Fame, where literally if Airbud could, Airbud would be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Coach Carter would be in the Hall of Fame. They're just, I mean, everybody gets in. Everybody gets in. I forgot he had a stint with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets. I mean, Carmelo, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. No matter how much you slice it, never won a championship, but it does matter again. 10-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA second team, 4-time All-NBA third team, scoring champion in 2013. Probably, maybe should have been Rookie of the Year. He did have better stats than LeBron that year, maybe co-Rookie of the Year. They've done that before. But he's on the All-NBA 75th team. Even dating back to his college years, he won a national championship with Syracuse in 2003. Final Four most outstanding player. I mean, he's won 3 gold medals. So, I mean, he has a decorated career, 28,000 points, 7,800 rebounds, 3,400 assists. That equates to 22.5 points per game for Carmelo. And I mean, there's no doubt he was going to be a Hall of Famer. Whether I don't even know if they do first, second ballots in basketball. You just get in.
Right. And you know what? Like you said, I mean, being that the standards are pretty low for the Naismith, I love Melo. Always been a Melo fan, and very well deserved of. I mean, everything that he's done, and he's one of the players. Like in any sport, everybody can find, a handful of players that might not have won the big one, but they deserve that kind of recognition, and Melo's definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah, and then the other notable NBA player that also got in was Dwight Howard, who's still trying to get back into the league somehow. 39 years old. Still looks like he could play, though.
Yeah.
Drafted by the Orlando Magic way back in 2004. So, I mean, only a year after Melo was drafted, went to the Lakers, Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington, back to the Lakers, Philadelphia, back to the Lakers, and then obviously played overseas for a little bit as well. He did win an NBA champion asterisk in 2020 with the Los Angeles Lakers, 8-time NBA All-Star, 5-time All-NBA first team, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year with those really good Orlando Magic teams back in the day. They eventually got, in I think it was 2008, they eventually got beat by the Lakers in the NBA Finals. And, I mean, 2-time NBA block leader, 5-time NBA rebound champion. Obviously, no college stats. He did win a gold medal with the Beijing team in 2008. So, another decorated career. I didn't realize he was drafted that long ago. I didn't realize he was that old. But Dwight Howard, another outstanding career for him. Yeah.
I agree. You kind of shocked me with this draft year. I for sure thought it was like 07, 08.
Yeah, I thought it was like 05 or later.
Yeah. I thought I was like banking around 07 for sure. But Dwight Howard was a boss, man, when he was in the league doing his thing, and um, just talk about once again another talented player. It just sucks when we talk about NBA players and there's the low standard of kind of, if you will, prestige recognition that some of these guys get in different areas of the game. I feel like it does take away from the ones who truly deserve it. But Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard are definitely top notch.
Yeah. One notable WNBA player elected into the Hall of Fame was the outstanding Sue Bird, who just seems like a hilarious person. Every commercial she's in, every time they interview her. Another also a UConn alum from 98 to 2002, was the first overall pick by the Seattle Storm way back in 2002. I did not realize she just retired 3 years ago. She played there for 20 years, 02 to 22. She is now part owner of the Seattle Storm, by the way. So we will keep an eye off that. 4-time, by the way, WNBA champion, 13-time WNBA All-Star, 5-time WNBA first team, 3-time second team, 3-time assist leader, 2-time peak performer, whatever that is. She's on the WNBA 10th, 15th, 20th, and 25th anniversary teams. Her number 10 is also retired by the Seattle Storm. And how about this, Mark? 5 gold medals as part of those just dominating U.S. women's basketball teams. I mean, just all over. She won 2 titles at UConn as well. She's won 5 European League championships. I mean, I don't know if you've watched the I was kind of flipping back and forth because on ESPN2, I think it was, they had the Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi show. It's kind of like the Manning cast, where they watch the game and just kind of talk about it and stuff. She's just hilarious. I don't know if you've seen those car commercials with her in it. She's funny in those, but Sue Bird, well deserved as well.
Yeah, have a career, why don't you? Right? I mean, just a laundry list of great achievements, and I think it's once again well deserved. Another great athlete being recognized, rightfully so.
Yeah, I did not realize she's only been retired for 3 years.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize she was in the league for 20 years.
I didn't either. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, I don't know what again, Naismith Hall of Fame, everybody gets in. Why not? It's a revolving door. I know there is for the NBA a certain amount of years you have to be retired. So they kind of keep pace with the other leagues in that sense. I thought it was 4, but for her, it's only been 3. I don't know. But again, this is kind of what confuses me. Billy Donovan, who's still coaching in the NBA, by the way, he's also elected into the Hall of Fame, but for his college accolades, which is really weird. I get it. He won back-to-back championships with Florida back in 06 and 07. They went to 4 Final Fours back then, 2000, 2006, 7, and 14. 4-time SEC champion, Coach of the Year, 6-time SEC regular season champion. So his college career speaks for themselves. He's won 2 gold medals as a part of the U.S. Olympic team coaching staff. So I guess it's a Hall of Fame career. He's still coaching in the NBA. This is what's kind of weird to me. Just you could, like, Greg Popovich is still coaching, sort of, I guess. We'll see what the future holds for him. But he was elected like 2 years ago. I mean, he's still coaching, so I don't really understand. Again, all reaction, zero research here, Mark. So I don't know what I haven't looked up the criteria, but I guess congrats to him as well.
Yeah, I didn't know. That's super confusing for me as well. I didn't realize you can make it to that area with just based on your college, basically your college accolades and what you did then. So it's news to me. I mean, good for him, good on him. I mean, I'm not hating. I just didn't know.
Yeah, it is It is crazy because Naismith, I think, is just everything, college, pros, because like in the other leagues, like you have a college football Hall of Fame, you have
Right.
a National Football Hall of Fame. There's the difference. It's just I don't know. Every time this is brought up when guys get elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame, I'm just like, it's whatever, dude. Again, I'm really surprised Airbud's not in there, or a Lil Bow Wow for like Mike. I mean,
right for like Mike.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure maybe Michael Jordan has a Space Jam asterisk by his Hall of Fame plaque. Maybe, sure.
for the championship where you say Planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not on your Hall of Fame resume, I don't know what is.
That's it.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the ice list here. This guy just doesn't seem to get it, Mark, and that is Ja Morant. Terrific scorer, terrific player in the NBA. He was fined, was it $25,000? I think it was. Again, zero research, all reaction here. He was fined a certain amount of money for doing some gun finger. We can do it here. Some gun gestures at the Golden State bench the other night. People saying that somebody else on Golden State did it first, and he gets fined for that. And then do you know what he did yesterday on his Instagram or X account?
What did he do?
He put pew pew, like dude, come on. Like, do you remember that? Do you remember a couple years ago when that video came out where he had a gun? Yeah, I mean,
I was just gonna bring that up. He doesn't learn. This guy doesn't learn, and the more the more actions that he does after the Jenkins firing, I'm like, oh yeah, no, he's for sure the player that was, mouthing off and doing whatever he could to get him fired. I really believe that, and he hasn't learned anything. And for me, I'm like, you're in the NBA. It's time to grow up and play what you're getting paid really good money for, or go away. Like, open mouth, enter foot, and he just doesn't, and he doesn't care. And like you said, one of the more talented guys in the league, and it doesn't matter to him at all.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it might be detrimental to your team if you're, paying fines is one thing, but if you start getting suspended or miss games, especially like now at this point of the season where there's 4 or 5 games left, you're in the thick of it in the Western Conference. One loss can put you in the play-in tournament. One win can get you, can supplant you in a top maybe 5 seed or something like that. But it's it's crazy to me that he just keeps doing it. I mean, he's been quiet for a little bit, probably because he's been hurt. I don't know if it's NBA injuries or pulling the old. Who was the dude who shot himself in the leg?
Was that Pac-Man Jones with the Dallas Cowboys?
It was a football player. I thought it was. Wasn't he a receiver for like the Jets or somebody or the Giants? I don't know.
You know what? I think you're right. Yeah, because Pac-Man Jones was only got in trouble for getting into a fight with the club and brandishing the gun. Now that I remember.
Yeah. So, and then even Aqib Talib got in trouble for like having a gun at some park in Texas or somewhere. Yeah. I mean, you just don't learn. And then basically taunt the NBA after you get fined on social media by saying pew pew, and then he did the little like shush emoji.
He don't care.
Yeah, I mean, he don't give no Fs at this point. But again, Memphis just fired their coach probably because Ja Morant like held a gun at somebody, forced him to get fired or something. I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on in Memphis, but it seems like it. I mean, they're a very good team, but it seems like the culture is kind of upside down.
Yeah, they can't get out of their own way, and I think it does start with players like Ja, where once again, I mean, what's that old corny saying? But I mean, it's true. It's I'd take work ethic over talent any day of the week, and this is one of those guys that proves that statement. And more talent in one finger than most people do have in their whole body, and he's pissing his career away.
And you know what he does with that finger. So it was Plaxico Burress, by the way, who shot himself in the leg.
Oh, that's right. Good
old Plaxico. Yeah, don't be like a Plaxico. All right, number 2 on the ice list. Mark, what do you got?
You know, we were going back and forth with it. I'm good. I'm good to go either way, but I would like to talk about that Auburn, and I am calling it a meltdown. Just because, and don't get me wrong, I'm not. This isn't to knock Florida by any means. Um,
Hey, I'm still
I
scared
think,
that I picked Florida.
yeah, right. And Florida, I mean, and let's face it, ever since the SEC championship, what they did to Bama, I think that's when they earned their respect, and everybody started looking at it like, oh, hey, these guys might be the real deal. But really, what bothers me is in the second half, Florida held Auburn to only 27 points, while Florida went ahead to score 41. So I mean, almost doubling, and just absolutely shutting them down and owning them the entire second half. For Auburn, this the standard was set so high. It was like it would, in my opinion, a complete failure of a year on how they went out in that second half. What do you think?
Yeah, it was crazy. My recollection, I know, I know it was only yesterday, but my recollection was like it was back and forth all game. Like you mentioned, that second half came though, and Auburn just couldn't buy a bucket. They were turning it over. They were just making dumb mistakes. It just seemed like Florida was everywhere on defense. And again, credit to Florida for stepping up and closing out that game the way they did on that run. But like you said, I think it was more Auburn just being stupid than it was Florida really doing anything right. Florida was just in their positions and almost catching a break. Mark, it almost seemed to me. But that first half, I mean, it was back and forth. It was a good game, and then again, Auburn just really didn't make any adjustments. It seemed at halftime, and Florida just almost like UConn did within the women's game we just saw with South Carolina not making any adjustments. It seemed like Auburn just stuck to their game plan if there was a game plan, and Florida took advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing that really bothered me was at the end of the game. I think he had a minute, maybe 49 seconds, almost a minute, and they were down by it fluctuated between like 4 and 6 points that entire last minute and a half, and they put how at the line from Florida, and just missing every free throw, giving Auburn the opportunity. Auburn would go back, heave it up, and absolutely miss. I mean, from 3-point land, they're shooting 28%, 7 for 25. That's awful. And I mean, the most points that they had was Baker Mazzara. And don't get me wrong, 18 points, that's decent. But, once again, Florida kind of locking everybody else down. Broome had 15 points. Cardwell had 9 points. But really, they lost it where they could have gotten the offensive buckets. They didn't. They couldn't shoot. Florida gave them plenty of opportunity, like I said, within that last minute and a half, and by missing all those free throws, and they still couldn't seal the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I said, Auburn just started doing stupid stuff there in that, especially towards the middle part of that second half. I mean, they were just taking unnecessary shots. I mean, they were driving to the basket, not being smart with it. Florida was drawing charges. It almost seemed like they had like 3 charges in a row called on Auburn, which again, those almost can go either way unless it's blatant that the guy was moving or the guy was set or the guy was whatever. But yeah, it almost seemed like Auburn, going back to John Morant, shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and like, for example, I mean, we were just talking about dumb shots. I think they were down. I think it was 70-69 or 69-68, and Auburn ended up with the ball. I forget if they stole or got a rebound, and they go all the way back on a fast break, heaving up a 3 when they didn't have. I mean, you're only down by 1. Hang on to the ball, play smart, and they were, like you said, they're just heaving everything up and making nothing. And for me, that's why I think they should be on the ice list. Just an absolute failure when it comes to being able to do what they were doing all year.
Yeah, exactly. So again, no discredit to Florida as they will once again take on the Houston Cougars tomorrow night in the men's championship game. All right, number one, staying in the NCAA tournament. Again, was it Houston's ferocious comeback, Mark, as a Cougar? Not Zach Wilson's mom, but or is
Mom's
it
best friend, right?
or whoever that was, or was it just Doak, or was it just Duke choking all over them, shooting themselves in the foot? Again, we kind of mentioned the tough, I guess, non-calls or calls that were made at the end of that game. Say what you, I'm always on the fence about these calls at the end of games because you really should, if you want to win a game, Mark, you shouldn't put the referees in a position to make that type of call.
Exactly.
But again, boxing out and going over the back, that one was kind of strange to me how they called a foul on flag on that one. But again, it is what it is. You really can't turn back time. And sure, the referees committee come out and say, hey, yeah, we made a mistake on that call. Let's redo the last 6 seconds of the game. That would be crazy if that were able to happen. But again, yeah, you shouldn't put the referees in and I yell at refs. I yell at refs all the time, Mark. I'm an in-game rage tweeter when it at least comes to the Nuggets. You would not have want to followed me 2 years ago when the Nuggets were on their championship run. I'm surprised my TV made it through that era, but yeah, was it the Cougars' ferocious comeback, or was it seriously a Duke choke job? Because they were up 9 with like 30 something seconds to go or something. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a Duke choke job. To be honest, if I'm going to be that hard on Auburn, I definitely have to be hard on who's going to be the favorites to win overall. And I think for sure, I was like I was texting you earlier. I think I looked it up. It was like a 15-3 run in the last minute, and for me, that tells me you didn't settle the ball down. I watched the game, but and they didn't. They didn't settle the ball down. They were playing like as if they were behind. And at the end of that game, and I hate to be that guy. Okay, I do. I hate to be that guy. But your Cooper flag, you should have nailed that shot. Yeah, we could discuss back and forth of what could have or should have or should not have been a foul. At the end of the day, Cooper had the ball in his hands. He put it up and he missed when the game was on the line and everything was on his shoulders. No, don't get me wrong. Wasn't an easy shot. I'm not saying any of that. But what I'm saying is he did have his opportunity. So being that you have opportunity, I could care less what kind of a call could or could not have been made when you had your chance to win that game.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a kind of a weird turnaround jumper. Once again, Roberts, the 40-year-old guy on Houston, was there defending him. He did get that rebound as well to kind of secure it for Houston. So again, no discredit to Houston for winning that game either. We talk about no discredit for Florida winning that game too, but there is no hanging your head when you win a game. Especially in that fashion, coming down to the wire, like you said, 15-3 run in the final minute of the game. That like you said, that tells you that Florida was just kind of dicking around at the end of the game, probably thinking they had that game in the bag. And then almost like Auburn, they just started being stupid, like you said, jacking up shots they didn't need to. They could have ran more clock out. There was just so many things that they could have did right. But Houston, again, pun or not, was there to pounce on it.
Right. Absolutely. And the other thing too is, a coach can only do so much when trying to break up momentum. You can't use all of your timeouts. At some point you have to, the players have to take accountability. It's like, okay, we're getting worked right now. We got to stop whatever's going on. We got to change this. You know what I mean? It's, like I said, you can only call so many timeouts to break up momentum. You can only stall the game out so much. And like, we were just talking about, Duke had every opportunity and they failed in every portion of it. And, like I said, at the end of the game, what was that old replacements line? Winners always want the ball with the game on the line. Well, your main guy, had the ball in his hands, and unfortunately was unable to sink the shot that could have changed or would have changed everything that we're talking about right now. So, hats off to Houston. I think well deserved. Trailing at halftime, coming in, that phenomenal run. And just absolutely having the wherewithal to fend Duke off, those last seconds of the game. Good on them.
Yeah, so we will see once again Houston and Florida tomorrow night. Now that the brackets are kind of in the garbage now, Mark, what are your predictions for tomorrow night between the Gators and the Cougars?
You know what? I'm going to say it's going to be a defensive game. I'm going to say only about 120 points total between them, and I'm going to say Cougars take it.
Well, for lack of, or for the sake of my last bracket that's still kind of intact, I'm hoping Florida wins. Just because I do have them still alive and one. I did have them beating Duke in another bracket, not the network bracket we did here. We'll put that up on the screen here shortly to give you the updated standings. But I kind of hope Florida pulls it out, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like both teams. I don't want to say Florida has got. It seems like they've been lucky throughout these last couple of games. I'm out dating back 2 weeks ago when this thing started, Mark. I even told you I'm scared that I picked Florida, and I'm still scared that I picked Florida. But now that they're here, I'm hoping they win. I'm still a little scared. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if either team won at this point. Houston's coming off a very big high, knocking off, like you said, the predicted, favorite in Duke, and maybe they're still riding that. Gators, maybe they're riding off an Auburn high. So both teams coming off, I wouldn't say clutch performances, but kind of big wins in their own right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always not a scary thing because we talk about building momentum and staying hot and getting hot at the right time, but sometimes it's kind of scary when you have a big emotional win going into a championship game, because sometimes that could backfire on you. And I hope each team can put their best foot forward, because I just want to see a hell of a game. But it's coming off a clutch performance is probably the perfect way to put it, because they were able to stick in there and do their thing and shut down the right people at the right times.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll pull up this. We'll put up the rankings or standings in our ESPN bracket challenge here. You can kind of see who's still in it. Mark, I am ranked 253rd. Surprisingly, not out of 253 people, 308 people, and I'm 253rd. So I'm not in dead last. But you got Jason right there, 1,480 points, 99.9 percentage. That's crazy.
Yeah, that man was on one this tournament. I'll give him that.
Yeah, so we have two Jasons at the top of the leaderboard, and then a Michael Berman, Tyler Small, Brian W., Robbie Ford, Logan Glazer, Ethan Massell, Wade Howard, and Isaac. Can't pronounce that last name in the top 10, but he did pick Duke, the guy in the 10th spot there. So not sure on the percentage points that he will come away with in the bracket challenge, but there you go, the leaderboard. I'm just glad I'm not in dead last place after picking St. John's to win it all.
Yeah, that definitely could have gone worse. I'm a little disappointed. I spent most of my tournament time in the top 50, and I dropped all the way to 128th place.
Hey, you're still like 300 ahead of me, or 200.
For me, I guess it was starting off as well as I did. It was just disappointing to have a fall from grace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. I was never at the grace point to even fall from it. So
Rather to have loved and lost than never loved at all, right?
There you go. So never had to brace for the fall, if you will. So that was our updated standings. We'll find out who the winner is come tomorrow night, when once again Houston Cougars will face the Florida Gators in the men's national championship. Hope you enjoyed the women's national championship that went down today. Once again, UConn takes home their 12th national championship. How about, 24 Final Fours is crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, that's, once again, dynasty.
Yeah, that's crazy too. And remember when UConn men's and women's, they were winning it like the same years?
Yeah, I was getting sick of them, honestly. I was rooting for them this year, but I was getting sick of UConn.
Yeah, they just seem like the Lakers or the Celtics of, yeah, I said it, the Celtics of the NBA there, or the college basketball there for a while. But yeah, shout out to UConn. We'll see who takes home the men's title tomorrow night. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse. Thank you for checking in, tuning in, chiming in as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts, and head to our home base at e5280sports.com, where you can catch all the on-demand shows and read some blogs, catch Pro Wrestling Daily as well right there on the front page. Marks, once again, thank you for sitting in. Any final thoughts before we head on out?
Just sad that March Madness is over. Thanks again for having me, and can't wait for tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I'm actually really super excited. The W starting here soon. The draft next Monday. I got the W season package, so I'll be watching a lot of games there as well. So excited for that.
Heck yeah, and it's going to be a great year, especially with CC coming, doing her thing. I can't wait to see, where Paige goes, and amongst all the other athletes that get to be a part of the special draft. So can't wait. All
right, so we will let you know via social media when we will be doing a live WNBA draft special next Monday night. Before Mark Sexton, I am Michael Spiel. We will talk to you then.